We've got Five-Door Gurkha and Five-Door Thar before GTA 6, and now I'm going to compare the Desi G-Wagon against the Desi Wrangler to tell you which is the better SUV. By the way, if you're confused which is the right car for you, you can actually speak to me through my consultancy services. All you have to do is go to caradvice.in and get in touch with me. Click on the top right corner of the screen to visit caradvice.in. Welcome to this comparison of old school but real SUVs. No jacked up front wheel drive hatchbacks here because these SUVs are as real as it gets with their body on frame platform and off-road hardware. The Thar is marginally longer and wider than the Gurkha. It has a 25mm longer wheelbase too, but the Gurkha is the taller car here by a considerable 172mm. Looks are always subjective because beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. But due to the weird design of the C-pillar and extra doors, it's the Gurkha which looks better to me. Of course, the snorkel, G-Wagon type indicators on the hood and rear ladder makes it look even more purposeful, and Force Motors has done a better job in designing the rear doors than Mahindra. By the way, the rear ladder, roof rails, roof rack and windshield bar are all mandatory accessories. By the way, you can stand on top of the Gurkha but not on the Thar Roxx if you opt for the variant with a panoramic sunroof. The Thar Roxx has some cool Easter eggs including on the tires. By the way, the Gurkha already has a towing hook attached to it because it's so off-road centric. A fun fact, Jeep isn't happy at all that there's a replica of the Wrangler in the form of the Mahindra Thar. However, Mercedes has no issues that there exists a copy of the G-Wagon in the form of the Gurkha. In fact, Force Motors assembles engines for Mercedes in India. They also do it for BMW. The Gurkha copies the G-Wagon to such an extent that even the exhaust is placed somewhere in the center. Meanwhile, with the Thar, the exhaust is placed at the rear. Now let's quickly step inside because these cars are poles apart there. The Thar Roxx absolutely blows away the Gurkha with its far superior interior and equipment list. Quality, fit finish, interior design and features in the Thar Roxx are not just better, it's a difference of day and night here. If the Gurkha's interior is crude and bare bones, the Thar's is ultra luxurious in comparison with its leather inserts on the dashboard and doors. The Gurkha has a 9-inch touchscreen which feels aftermarket because it is, while the Thar's bigger 10.25-inch unit has a far better UI and speed. It also gets a ton more features in it like adventure statistics and connected car tech. But this interior comparison is pointless as the Gurkha has absolutely nothing to flaunt while the Thar is overloaded with stuff like push button start, extendable sun visors with mirror and light, a massive panoramic sunroof, electric parking brake, auto hold, ventilated front seats, powered driver seat, auto dimming IRVM, 360-degree parking camera, wireless phone charger, more USB ports including USB-C with fast charging capability, climate control AC, blind spot monitoring system, front parking sensors, ambient lighting, leatherette seats, cooled glove box, steering mounted audio controls, far better audio system from Harman Kardon, cruise control, 6 airbags, and while both have digital instrument clusters, the one in the Thar is just better again. The Force Gurkha gets 4 parking sensors at the rear while the Thar gets only 2, but the rear parking camera in the Gurkha seldom works. And the camera quality is also not that great. The Thar Roxx MX-5 diesel manual 4-wheel drive is the right variant to compare with this Gurkha because this one is available only in one variant. Meanwhile, the Thar Roxx is available in 6 variants, yet even the lower trims of the Thar Roxx are far better equipped than the Gurkha. That said, the price difference between the Gurkha and the top end variant of the Thar Roxx is around rupees 5 lakhs, yet you get your money's worth with any and every variant of the Thar Roxx. By the way, the Thar has level 2 ADAS. Meanwhile, the Gurkha has level -2 ADAS, but that's fine because I don't find ADAS to be useful in our country. Both these cars get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity, but Apple CarPlay isn't activated in this particular Thar Roxx which I'm driving today. Meanwhile, in the Gurkha, it simply does not work. Also, the Gurkha's driver's seat doesn't get height adjust, which is a big bummer for someone as tall as me. Getting in the Gurkha is a bit difficult due to its height, but the rear door is bigger, making it easier. But the Thar's rear doors open 90 degrees. Take that, Tata Altroz! While the Thar Roxx has much more space. It even has a reclining rear seat which makes it super comfortable as the Gurkha's second row seats are fixed and upright. By the way, center passenger gets ahead in the Thar, not in the Gurkha. By the way, the Gurkha does have a few positive points going for it. Like the front armrests are more comfortable because you can adjust the angle. This being a manual also has a dead pedal, but the Thar Roxx manual does not get a dead pedal, which is quite surprising. All 4 power windows in the Gurkha have a one touch down function, but the power window switches are placed in the center next to the gear lever, while the Thar now has power window controls on the driver door. The Roxx having one touch up and down for the driver side only, but you can open the sunroof and driver window from the key. The interior of the Gurkha won't get dirty as Force Motors has been sensible of not using light beige color for the interiors of an off-road car. And also, the tailgate of the Gurkha opens in one step and not a cumbersome two-step like in the Thar Roxx. Can't blame Mahindra, Jeep does it in the same way, so they had to too. But the biggest USP of the Gurkha is that it is a 7-seater, making the Thar's boot bigger here. But getting to the last row is a pain as you have to do it from here. But these seats are captain chairs, but space isn't great in the third row. By the way, both cars get rear AC vents, but the ones in the Gurkha seem to be installed at Karol Bagh. And the Gurkha also does not get a proper seatbelt for the center passenger, who anyways doesn't have a head, so it's fine, he gets a lap belt here. Both these cars also come with really small door pockets. Somehow the ones on the Thar Roxx are slightly bigger, but these door pockets are best to keep A4 size sheets. By the way, the Gurkha has more storage space in the center console, making it more practical when it comes to keeping your stuff. However, the Thar has multiple pockets in the front seat back. The Gurkha is available with just one powertrain option, which is a diesel manual. Meanwhile, with the Thar Roxx, we have the option of diesel or petrol, manual or automatic, 4x2 or 4x4, which means customer really has choice with the Thar Roxx. However, what you don't get in the Thar Roxx is 4x4x4, which Force Motors offers with the Gurkha. By the way, the Gurkha 3 and 5 door are identical in terms of equipment, but the Thar 3 and 5 door are very different cars. Let's first start by driving the Gurkha. Let me turn it on. There's no clutch lock, and there it rose to life. Yes, NVH is not the best, and this screen takes its own sweet time to start. But now the reverse camera is working even in forward position, which is quite weird, huh? Some electronic glitches. By the way, there's this massive panel gap here, so quality and all is not good. It starts in power mode by default because eco mode sucks here, and in the Thar you have multiple drive modes too. But the thing is, no matter which drive mode you drive the Thar in, it doesn't feel underpowered. Here the eco mode kind of sucks. Yeah, it does suck quite a lot. And when I drive the Gurkha, I realize that compared to the Thar, this is some effort here, because the car definitely feels heavy. The steering wheel seems to be from a truck. In isolation, the Gurkha is amazing. But when you drive it, comparing it to the Thar Roxx, you realize that this is a hardcore car and there are no two ways about it. Firstly, the ride isn't that good. The Thar Roxx's suspension is obviously way more rugged and sophisticated as well. Here, it does move around quite a lot because there's vertical movement, there's side-to-side movement, but you can absolutely fly through big potholes because this car definitely feels much more rugged when compared to the Thar. So that's one big USP of this car. It feels super duper rugged. The steering is actually very heavy because this is a hydraulic steering wheel, and because of the towering height of this car, I end up hitting some of the tree branch here or there. Now taking a U-turn takes some effort because the steering is extremely heavy. This car does require a lot of your effort. Let's get into reverse. The reverse parking camera is on all the time. That's kind of weird. It's making tire pressure warning sounds right now. And into first gear, the gearbox is also a bit clunky. Yeah, it has a lot of rubbery effect to it. The clutch is also kind of soggy, and the engine doesn't really rev that much, so it feels out of breath very quickly because this seems to be a very old school diesel engine. So again, the Thar Roxx engine is definitely better in terms of performance, more power, more torque, faster, better acceleration, more refined, smoother, everything. As far as the powertrain goes, the Thar Roxx is just way ahead when compared to this Force Gurkha. But this engine has a lot more feel because it's a little bit louder, kind of Mercedes derived, not kind of, it is actually Mercedes source, so that is a definite boon here. And then we are going to do the brake test right now. Let's see how it stops. Significant nosedive under heavy braking. Now another problem I've noticed with this Gurkha is it is automatically activating the differential locks, the rear one. I don't know, you go over a bump, you bounce a bit, and bang, differential lock is like, hello, how are you? So it takes a lot of effort to engage or disengage the differential lock in this car. So it's not like very easy, just press a button like in the Thar for the electronic locking differential at the rear. I can feel the bounce. So So ride is not the best, turning radius is also quite a lot, handling is not the best too, because there's a lot of body rolling. The engine dies out at just 3,500 RPM. So as I see it, the Gurkha feels very old school, quite rugged, but then it requires significant effort to drive. Now there are drive modes in both the cars. Here you have eco mode and power mode. We are in power mode right now, which is acceptable. Because of the weight of this car now, handling and dynamics have gone for a toss. But then again, very old school underpinnings, even though the Thar has old school underpinnings, but it has some modern bits like the watt linkage for the suspension and all those things, which really help the Thar have a smooth ride. Here the ride is not smooth. You can feel the movement all the time. The ride is bad, but the handling is also not good. Yeah. This is the car which doesn't really like high speeds, and the engine really doesn't take you to high speeds either, because we have got 140 horsepower here, which is not much if you ask me. Along with 140 horsepower, torque output of 320 Newton meters sounds very impressive, but then it doesn't feel so out on the road. So compared to the old Gurkha, this is a big step up. And compared to the Thar Roxx, this doesn't seem to be a step up. And it's not as efficient as the Thar Roxx. It's at least 3 to 4 kilometers per liter more in terms of fuel consumption, which is a lot if you ask me. And there's a lot of wind noise, lot of road noise. High speed stability is also not that good. Not that the Thar Roxx has great high speed stability, because beyond 100 or 120 kilometers per hour, the Thar Roxx also moves quite a lot. But the Gurkha doesn't have good dynamics at all. And the engine, well, it gets the job done, not great. You can hear some weird sounds coming from somewhere in the cabin, but anyways, okay, gearbox has some chewing gum and off we go. Red lines very quickly at just 3,500 RPM, so there's no top end here at all. But when you go off-road, this car absolutely excels because it has got the better hardware. In terms of, obviously both of them are body on frame platform cars. However, this car has 2 locking differentials, although locking it is a bit of an effort. Oh my god, that Verna is smoking, and how. Along with that, you have higher ground clearance here. You have a higher water weighting capacity by 50 mm at 700 mm, which is also very impressive. The gearbox has only 5 speeds, not 6 speed. Like I'm telling you, this car feels a bit dated in terms of all the hardware, but that's something you would appreciate, because this car definitely has the feel. It has a towering presence to it. You see a good view of what's around, so you feel you're driving something really robust, but it also has a higher center of gravity, which really doesn't help when you apply hard brakes. Plus the fact that it doesn't get rear disc is shocking, because it is having rear drums. A car costing rupees 20 lakhs plus not having rear disc is obviously very surprising. So that's something which needs to be addressed here, because the brakes are not good enough, and obviously there's a lot of nosedive under heavy braking, plus the brakes feel a bit soggy as well. And the car is moving quite a lot at high speeds, but that is a feel. You're like enjoying the ride. That's something I really appreciate about the Gurkha, that it has that character to it and doesn't come in 4x2 variants like Mahindra is offering the Thar Roxx with rear wheel drive just to leverage the Thar brand. But no, Force Motors is not doing it yet, although I believe they do plan to launch a 2-wheel drive version. Okay, it's time to test the 0 to 100 km per hour of this car, and off we go. Fourth should get us to 100 kilometers per hour. Come on. "24 seconds almost, which is very slow, but we are in the wet, so you should cut some time there. But still, it's very slow when compared to the Thar Roxx. Upwards of 50 decibel at idle. Yeah, the engine is loud. Now it's time to drive the Thar Roxx, and it's quite exciting because firstly it's a new car, and secondly it is unbelievably smooth. After driving the Gurkha, this car actually feels like a toy, although this is much more effort when compared to a monocoque platform car, but yet it is awesome. I don't know why it's connecting my Bluetooth. Let's change the drive modes. We'll come into the zoom mode, and the drive modes don't make much of a difference because you get the same power in both the drive modes, which is quite surprising. Adventure statistics have to be turned on. So many gadgets to play in an off-road car, which is quite nice, and off we go. My goodness, the ride quality is just amazing here. This feels so refined, peppy, fast, and oh my god, even more tractable. Just amazing. The Thar is unbelievable in the way it drives. Drive a Gurkha and you'll find the Thar to be extremely smooth. yeah, it is just awesome. The ride is also so freaking amazing here. So you can glide over the worst of roads. Modern suspension technology here, just mind blowing. The way this car goes will absolutely put a massive smile on your face. What a smooth car, and very easy to drive as well. Okay, I have to admit this is the automatic, but even the manual of this particular car, the Thar Roxx, is very effortless to drive, which is just amazing. Fake SUVs in my line of path right now. Not really fake because you get the all-wheel drive option there. Let's take a quick U-turn, and it's very oh my god, I can twirl the steering wheel with one hand. That's how effortless it is. I was going to say effortless, and then I realized the reverse parking camera is not showing me anything, and now we've hit a sort of a roadblock because that Grand Vitara is in my line of sight. He wants to race probably, but I'm not going to race with monocoque platform cars because that's not my jam. Let's shut the wipers. So so much fun. So in terms of off-road hardware, this car also has something to brag about. Like, first and foremost, it has something known as the IntelliTurn, which actually locks the inner wheel when you're off-road. You have to be under 15 kilometers per hour in 4-low, making the turning radius smaller, which is quite nice. It has something known as Smart Crawl, which is like the cruise control for off-road situations. And I've taken a U-turn here, which the Gurkha simply couldn't manage or can't manage because that car's turning radius is quite a lot. Here we obviously have an electric steering wheel, which is very light, yeah, extremely light. The Thar is bringing the best of both worlds, the ruggedness of an off-road car and the technology of a modern car beautifully well together. And then you get into the throttle, and then oh my god, I thought the only car which could blend such things beautifully was this one, the Mahindra Scorpio N, but it seems like the Thar Roxx is also doing a phenomenal job. Yeah, that Scorpio N is with me, don't worry, I'm not scaring anyone silly by driving straight towards them. So now it's the time to do the brake test, which means we shall accelerate a bit and stand on the brakes at maybe a higher speed when compared to the Gurkha. Oh my god, yeah, it almost broke my hand when it hit that bump. So kickback is much lesser here. Obviously, this being a body on frame car has that kickback. Shut the hazards. I know we brake too hard, but the Gurkha has even more kickback, and then you have layouts for this cluster as well. So much technology loaded into an off-road car. Is it necessary? Probably not. Do you like it? Obviously I do. So yeah, cool stuff, power and torque meters and whatnot. You don't have to slow down at all. You can drive fast. The handling is much better than the Gurkha. The ride is much better than the Gurkha. The body roll is much lesser when compared to the Gurkha. Body control is amazing here. Vertical movement is obviously there because body on frame, but still less than the Gurkha. This car excels on multiple fronts. It's hugely fun to drive. Honestly, Mahindra has absolutely hit the nail. I don't know what proverb I was trying to tell you, but I'm trying to say that they have really hit the ball out of the park with the Thar Roxx, because the engine is also more tractable here. 2.2 litre diesel, 175 horsepower, 172 horsepower actually, 175 PS, which is still 35 PS more when compared to the Gurkha. And in terms of torque output, 55 Newton meters more torque here. Not 55 actually, 50 Newton meters more torque, because that's 320. Here we have 370 Newton meters of torque. And all this makes a world of a difference because this car is also lighter, less center of gravity, less top heavy too. Wow, the Thar Roxx is just unbelievable to drive. Yes, I have to admit that the Gurkha is having more feel, but the Thar Roxx has the feel of an off-road car, but it has the smoothness which is just unbelievable. And they have no paddle shifters in the automatic, but at least we get an automatic. There is no automatic only in the Gurkha. So Force really needs to update the Gurkha tremendously well if they really want to compete with the Thar Roxx, because Mahindra's economies of scale are working brilliantly well with all its models. The Thar Roxx is so good that now it's also going to eat into the sales of that particular car right in front of me, the Toyota Fortuner, because a lot of people buy it for that old school feel. And talking about feel, the 3-door Thar, which isn't that dynamically rich, also feels way richer dynamically when compared to the Gurkha. So obviously the Thar Roxx will feel a lot more dynamically rich when compared to the Gurkha, and that's one of the reasons why the Gurkha doesn't really sell in high numbers. That's another thing, that Force's dealership network is very small, Mintu. So they're not really aiming to sell too many of them, but yes, the Gurkha is a very committed purchase. Meanwhile, this car does not get a front locking differential like the Gurkha. In fact, the Gurkha has the better breakover angle as well as the departure angle. This car has the better approach angle when compared to the Gurkha. But this car gets an electronic locking rear differential. However, that is only available with the 4-wheel drive variants. This is a 2-wheel drive, so this 2-wheel drive does not have that selector here. But it has a brake locking differential which basically applies brakes to the wheels which doesn't have traction, so that more power is being channeled to another wheel. I mean, the other wheel will spin at a faster pace, thereby getting you out of tricky situations. That said, the 2-wheel drive version actually has lesser output, 150 horsepower and 330 Newton meters, which again is more than the Gurkha. And the 2-wheel drive version of the Thar Roxx is even lighter, so I think weight reduction is something which is needed in the Gurkha. But I have to admit, the Gurkha has a better driving position because you can see the hood completely, you're sitting higher up, which kind of makes you the king of the road. And that actually makes me believe that even though the Thar Roxx is unbelievably rich in terms of performance, dynamics, ride, handling, braking, almost everything, yeah, the brakes are also better here, but the Gurkha isn't bad at all because it has a different kind of feel. If you like the heavy stuff, you'll love the Gurkha. And off we go! The Gurkha's run was actually done in the wet, but now it's not raining. However, I have chosen a wet patch of the road to see what is actually the difference in terms of 0 to 100 km/h acceleration between both the cars, and I suspect the Thar is going to be much faster, 11 seconds. I've timed it much faster in the dry with the Thar Roxx. So I would still say in the wet it would have done 12 seconds, which is still doubly fast when compared to the Gurkha. This is very fast, but then obviously more power, more torque, lighter weight definitely makes you go faster. The Thar Roxx is much more silent, around 9 decibels less sound at idle when compared to the Gurkha. That's a lot. The Thar Roxx proves that your off-road vehicle can be rugged, capable, feature-loaded and practical all at the same time. There is no denying the fact that as an overall package, the Thar Roxx is a far superior product, with Mahindra having a better dealership network and after-sales service experience too. With a multitude of variants and powertrain options, there's a Thar Roxx for every person and budget out there, with the base petrol MX-1 2-wheel drive manual being priced at ₹15.63 lakhs, going all the way to ₹27 lakhs for the top-end AX7L diesel automatic 4-wheel drive. All the prices are obviously on-road Mumbai. And this variety and option of addressing a bigger audience makes the Thar Roxx the easy winner in the shootout. Obviously, the Thar Roxx is just better in almost every possible way. However, the Gurkha stays true to its roots by being more rugged. It has more feel and sits in a niche which will appeal to those who are looking for an SUV which is more crude and bare bones. To sum it up, the Thar Roxx can be your only car. Meanwhile, the Gurkha can't be your daily driver. It's another car to your garage. It's your weekend toy, and that toy costs ₹22 lakhs. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel and let me know which is the car I should compare with the Thar Roxx next. And don't forget to check out caradvice.in. You can click somewhere on the top right corner of the screen right now. Bye-bye.